So hi you guys, as promised, this week's episode is going to be dedicated to one of the monsters from the Witcher universe, and I chose my personal favorite, Leshen. So Leshen made his debut in a Witcher 3 Wild Hunt game, and it's not part of the previous games. And during the game, Geralt is able to pick up several contracts that involve Leshen, such as Lord of the Woods near Novigrad or in the Hearts of the Woods on Skellige. So in the Witcher universe, Leshen is represented as a tall, wood-like creature with antlers on its head, and it's a really powerful monster that dwells in the forest, and during the combat it's able to be aided by the packs of wolves and crows, and he's also able to summon the forces of nature to defend itself. And as many of you already know, it's a very powerful adversary, so you have to prepare before you fight it. So where did the inspiration for such a creature came from in the first place? Inspiration for the Leshen character came from a demon in Slavic mythology called Lesnik, how the South Slavic people called it, or Leshi, how the West and East Slavic people called it. The name derived from an old Slavic word for the forest, les, so they have it Lesnik or Leshi. In Slavic mythology, he is recognized as a smaller demon that is a protector of the forests, and he keeps the forest and wild animals safe and the cycle of life within the forest unharmed. So the developers of the game made a fair representation of Lesnik embedded in the character of Leshen, how old Slavic people imagined it in the first place. The only difference between a Leshen and Lesnik or Leshi is that Lesnik had a really dense fur all around and really distinctive green eyes. So that's the only difference. Lesnik was also imagined as a tall, wood-like creature, always with antlers on his head, and was also, as a Leshen, able to summon forces of nature and be aided by the animals. Lesnik had the power to transfer into a tree or an animal. It's not one animal that is distinctive, so he could be either wolf, either bear, or a fox. Those are three animals that are more or less mentioned when the Lesnik and its transformation is center of the story. So that wasn't the case with all Slavic tribes. Some Slavic tribes also believed that he was able to transfer himself into a human, and the only distinction between him and a real human was that Lesnik didn't have an eye or an eyelashes or eyebrows. So that's how the old Slavic people would be able to recognize him among them. Also, he was a protector of the forests for all the Slavic tribes, but some of the Slavic tribes believed he was also a protector of the shepherds. So shepherds would often pray to him to retrieve their lost sheep, and if the sheep would be found, they would make a sacrifice to Leshen. In some South Slavic tribes, there was also a tradition for young boys during the spring to dress themselves as Lesniks, and one of them would dress up as a girl, and the rest of the boys would dance around the so-called girl and sing songs dedicated to Lesnik, so the forest would be unharmed. Those traditions are more connected to the Slavic tribes that lived really close to the forests, and their life dependent of the well-being of the forest. So more or less all the Slavic tribes imagine him as he is represented in the games. Some of the East Slavic tribes also gave him a power to be a good singer, and in some of their lore, East Slavic tribes imagine him as abductor of the young girls. He would abduct young girls and bring them to the forest and make them dance in the circles and sing for him. That wasn't really the case for all the Slavic tribes. So what was common for all the Slavic tribes is that he was protector of the woods. He was always represented as a wood-like creature with antlers on his head, and he was able to be to transfer himself into a tree or animal. So that would be something that was common for all the Slavic tribes. So that's the inspiration behind the Leshen character. As you can see, many of the representations of the Lesnik came into the Leshen character, and it's really interesting they chose such a creature to represent it. And in Witcher universe, it's a really interesting monster, and it's always a challenge to fight it, and the stories behind it is always interesting, such as in Hearts of the Woods. Leshen in that contract is not portrayed as a strictly evil demon. Such was the case with Lesnik or Leshy. He was nor good nor evil. It really depends on what paths did you cross with it. So thank you for watching, and feel free to subscribe and leave a comment. And next week we're going to have another monster video. Thank you.